Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking, right side. He wants it. A comeback. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown, Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. I'm Andrew, and with me, as always, is my friend, your co-host, your favorite person that ever wears a hat, Mr. Dale Baker.
I try not to miss a day wearing a hat. I mean, I try real hard, and so pulled this one out. I don't know if I've worn this one before, maybe the last one. I don't know, but my kids are always asking, why do you got so many hats? I go, I don't know. It's a great question. Just don't like fixing my hair, I guess.
There you go. Hey, whatever works. You pull it off well, sir. So, hey, happy Victory Monday. I mean, it was Raiders week, and the Chiefs offense showed up in the second half. What else could you really ask for?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, just to see them, I feel like the Raiders came out with some energy, and they came out with a game plan, and give them credit. They executed those two drives to perfection.
Yeah.
One of our biggest fears, I thought, was seeing Josh Jacobs run for how many yards? A lot of yards to get that touchdown. Was like, oh man, this could be a long day. But credit our defense. I mean, that's truly the big story. I know our offense scored in the second half, whatever, but our defense holding them to 3 points the rest of the game was truly just something to be admired, right? And just in all of them just taking care of business there.
Yeah, no doubt. And so Josh Jacobs ended up with 110 yards, but if you take away that 63-yarder he had, that's a pretty good outing for the Chiefs, holding him to only 47 yards. Yes, he gets the 63-yarder, but, it is quite impressive after those first two drives what the defense was able to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, I don't know what it was. It just is. I guess it was just the fact that the Raiders came out with so much more energy than the Chiefs did. And then the kind of just woke them up. I mean, it was almost like he just woke up a sleeping bear. And they're like, all right, let's go. And they did. And they ran with it.
Yeah. And I'm sure none of us really thought that they were going to shut the Chiefs out for the entire game and that they were never going to be stopped. I mean, with the defense like we've been playing with this year, they were going to figure it out at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a rookie quarterback, Spags defense, I just think it was a matter of time for them to figure out him. And so, Raiders, it felt like an old Chiefs Raiders game, didn't it? There in the beginning.
It did.
This got a little chippy, people are kind of, Watson got up in that linebacker's face. I was like, all right, here we go.
Right after that touchdown he got.
Yeah.
So, man, he got blown up running that route before he got that touchdown, though. I mean, off his feet. And oh, man, it was a big hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the one thing that did make me a little nervous in the beginning was how much Davante Adams was getting involved in catching the ball.
Oh,
I mean, I was thinking, man, these guys are supposed to be able to shut down these wide receivers, especially these number one guys. And, man, Davante Adams is having his way right now.
Right. So, and he was getting frustrated with Snead by the end of the game, though.
Yes. By the second half, he was basically shut down. But that first half, Adams was getting his way a little bit there. So, but as always, as we said before, I thought they were going to figure it out, and they did. So, good to see. And always when you can beat the Raiders, it is a good week.
Right. Yes. It's a great week.
Yep, that's right. So the big question we have to discuss too is the second half, right? So the Chiefs offense finally showed up in the second half. So the real question is, are the Chiefs back? Are they fixed? Or is this just a one-time fluke?
Yeah, well, I texted you, and that was the question I texted you in the second half. I think it was like almost the end of the third quarter. I said, "Are we back? Is this because I think we had scored 28 by that point, and so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, are we back, or is this kind of a fluke?" And I would say, man, I think that builds confidence, right?
Yes.
If nothing else, it builds confidence and something to build on. It kind of helps the young guys see, like, oh, we can't score points in the second half. Oh, we can't catch the ball in the second half.
Yeah.
So it was definitely interesting to see who Mahomes was throwing to.
Yeah, no doubt. So
the numbers don't lie, do they?
Numbers do not lie, not at all.
So do you want to talk about? Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the wide receivers and who was targeted and how many times.
Yeah, all right. Well, the number one target out of everybody was Rashee Rice, had 10 targets. So 10 targets, had 8 catches for 107 yards, averaging a little over 13 yards per catch.
Man,
and throw a touchdown in there too, right? So
yeah,
and that touchdown of 39 yards was a big one. Seeing him run after the ball, which is what we've talked about before, and many others have too. Man, that might be his strength. He is really good at running after the catch. So you can get in his hands. And then he also had a huge catch there, I believe it was in the third quarter. It might have been the fourth quarter. Man, there along the sideline, went up, climbed the ladder to go get that ball, and came down with it. It was good to see.
Yes, it was.
Yep. So Travis Kelce still had the second most targets and catches with 7 targets, with 6 receptions, 91 yards, almost got to 100, but Rashee Rice leading the way. So good to see some other guys stepping up, and that Travis Kelce isn't going to have to be the guy who has to lead you in receiving every game.
Right.
Man, if you're relying on him to lead you in receiving every game, not a good game plan, because some guys and some teams are going to figure out how to shut him down. So you got to have other guys to get going.
Yeah.
Yep. So are they back?
I think they're back. I think, well, we had to, like we always say, let's see it another time.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to see it 3 times. I think the real test will be, I think Green Bay is actually playing really well right now. And so we'll have to go up to Lambeau Field. So I think that'll be a great test for the Chiefs. Sunday night game again. I know Jordan Love's one of his first games he started was against the Chiefs, and the Kansas City Chiefs did something really bad, and they put his mom and his wife up on the very, very top of the Arrowhead Stadium. I don't know why they would do such a thing.
Yeah.
But they did. And so maybe Jordan Love's is going to come back for some little vengeance.
Yeah, maybe so.
So we'll see. But I think it'll be a good test. Can we do to Green Bay what we just did to the Raiders? Shut them down.
Right.
And do that. And so then another test will be the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to say, after the Buffalo Bill game, let's talk and see if they're back.
Yeah. So the Raiders have not had the greatest defense on the year anyways. Now, in fairness, since Antonio Pierce took over as the interim head coach, they've had one of the better defenses. Right. So I don't know. And we've talked about this before too. I don't know if the Raiders have been playing off of just the energy from the interim head coach the last few weeks, or if that's who they really are.
Right.
It's hard to say anytime you have a coach fired in the middle of the season, you have the interim step in there. It's hard to say if that's really who the team is, or if they're just playing off the energy of a new leadership, and they're just excited that the old guy's out of the way, so to speak.
Right. And then was this, were you telling me? I can't remember. You were saying, and I think it was off air here, but you were talking about, like, I would love to do a study or like an in-depth study on, like, what do teams do after they fire their head coach and play for the interim and for like that next game. What are the odds, or what I mean, you see the Steelers, right? The Steelers fired their offensive coordinator. Boom. They beat the Bengals, right? 16-10. I mean, it wasn't like anything spectacular. The Buffalo fired their OC. Boom. They have a big game right after that. And so I just think, like, I wonder what the odds are, the study is, like, what do teams do? I mean, even the Colts last year fired their head coach and they had hired Jeff Saturday, and boom, they win a game.
Yeah, there was even talks those first few weeks of him becoming the permanent head coach.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the real question now, or real thing to watch, I guess, rather, the Panthers just fired their head coach today.
Oh, I didn't see that yet. Oh, my goodness.
The worst team in football fired their head coach. So let's see if they can pull out a victory.
There you go.
But, yeah, that'd be an interesting study to see for sure. I think if I was a guessing person, I'd say more times than not, they have a winning record the first week after they fired their head coach in the middle of the season. So it just seems like teams play with more energy there.
Right. Yeah. And I think you kind of like, okay, man, we got a shot here. I mean, the Panthers don't have a shot. And the sad part about the Panthers, I mean, we don't have to get into it, is that their pick is going to Chicago.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, that is true too.
So like, not only are you terrible, you don't even get a pick in the first round.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you're
that's
giving
tough.
up potentially the number one overall pick to somebody else. I mean, not just not having a first round pick, but when you end up getting the first overall pick, that is, ooh, man,
Oh,
not good.
yeah.
Not good if you're that team.
No. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. So, lots of other things happening in this game too. Lots of, as you point out, even some chippiness from Justin Watson. But one thing I want to say for sure is, I mean, Justin Watson is not necessarily a Pro Bowler by any means, but he is better than many people give him credit for. That guy
yeah.
is showing up week after week and making
Right.
plays. I'm not saying he's
Yep.
making all of them, but he's making plays, and that's more than you can say for some of the guys on the roster.
Right. And that's where I want to like the rest of the wide receivers. Sky Moore or Isaiah Pacheco had 5 catches for 34 yards. Sky Moore had 3 catches for 34 yards. Noah Gray, which I was excited to see, had 3 catches for 30 yards.
Yep.
Justin Watson had 1 for 3 yards and a touchdown. So credit him there. And then MVS had 1 catch for negative yards, which I think was a blown up play.
Yeah, it
So
was.
it shouldn't really, so it shouldn't really
And
count
it was
against
there at
him.
the end of the game too. So
But it's interesting to see the last couple of games that we've had. Justin Watson and MVS have kind of been the big targets, and you definitely see a shift in that we're like, okay, maybe they're not the big targets. And we know that it's every other week, it could be a different guy. And maybe this week's Rashee Rice. So maybe
yep.
I'll say after the Bills game, let's come back and visit this wide receiving room and see if it's changed any.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to do. So this is only the third time all year the Chiefs have scored over 30 points. First time since week 7 against the
Yeah.
Chargers. And the other
Okay.
time was when they scored 41 against the Bears.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
this is not the explosive offense that we're used to. I mean, in the
No.
past, we were averaging 30 or right around 30 points. And,
Yeah.
now we're averaging closer to the low 20s. And
Yeah.
so, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up. So, as you said, I think we got to see it for another week or so. See if these wide receivers can keep this going. But I will
Yeah.
say, to their credit, the wide receivers, they knew how to catch a ball in the second half. I mean, we didn't know
Well,
that
yeah.
they knew how or
I
that it was
know.
possible, but what do you know? They figured it out. And so,
They
but I
figured it
do
out.
think after that game, the previous week, that they dropped, that they should have won against the Eagles,
Yeah.
you could see a lot of the frustration in their conferences and press conferences after the game. You could see them just walking down the tunnel, just how frustrated and upset they were. I think
Right.
they went to that week coming into this game against the Raiders with a lot more motivation, a lot more focus, a lot more drive, and I think that is spilled over onto the field. And so if they can keep that up, because that's what championship caliber teams do, is they have that kind of
Yeah.
focus all
Yeah.
year long. And
Right.
so if we want to contend for another championship, that's what we got to do. They got to be
Yeah.
focused and locked in like that for the rest of the year.
And we could be looking back here in a couple months that this was a blessing losing to the Eagles. Because I mean, very easily, Mahomes or Andy Reid could have walked into that locker room and says, "Hey, if we want to contend, that's the team we're contending with, or a team like
Yeah.
them is the 49ers. And if we can't be up to snuff, we might as well go home or go to Cancun now,
Yeah.
because that's the standard. If we can't contend with them or we get, the moment's too big, we probably should just pack it up."
Yep.
And
Probably so.
they answered the bell, though. They answered the call.
Yeah, they did. And I don't think that, like we talked before, I don't think they're going to necessarily get rid of all drops. We saw some drops
Right.
yesterday too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if we can just simply improve on those by 20%,
Yeah.
and not turn the ball over, then we're going to have a huge chance to win. And that was that big thing against the Eagles, is that we couldn't convert in the red zone, and we had had turnovers
Yeah.
against the Eagles, over and over and over again. And so it was good to see that the Chiefs didn't have any turnovers, that when they got to the red zone, they were converting. They were 3 for 4. So they had one possession down there. They didn't get a touchdown, but really 75%, I'll take that over the 30% or whatever that we've been getting lately. So
yeah.
Good conversion rate there at 75%. So, and we got to talk about McDuffie too, right?
Oh,
is that guy not the
electric?
The best rookie cornerback in the league has got to be Trent McDuffie.
Yeah. So,
and I don't hear a lot of talk about him being the even offensive, defensive player of the year. I mean, you can make the argument for, rookie of the year or whatever, but the rookie defensive player of the year, surely he's got to be in the running, right?
Right. Well, I think this is his second year, right?
Oh, that's right. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I guess last year he just didn't play as much. So
no, he didn't. He missed like 8 games, and he
did.
So, but you're right. I mean, to see a sophomore player like this to come through and to play even better than his rookie year is pretty impressive, because usually you kind of the game is still moving fast for you, but it seems like he looks like a veteran out there. Just finding holes to get to the quarterback, was really smart. I thought on that where he got to the ball against O'Connell, right? Was that his name? Aiden O'Connell.
Talking about the one that he batted down when he was blitzing.
Yeah, and then he turned his body so it wasn't like his helmet couldn't accidentally hit, or his hands accidentally hit him. And then it'd be called like it was just kind of his body flew into him. And so I thought that was a really smart play, because then it kind of takes away the referees from calling a stupid play about, you hands to the face or something like that. Silly. So I don't think there's a rule about your ribs to the face yet, but there might be. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows?
They want to do whatever they can to protect those quarterbacks. So who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand that too. We want Mahomes protected. And so we want him to be on the field. But those corners and the safeties, they're continuing to ball out. They're continuing to have great games, and a lot of that has to do with the defensive line getting pressure and making things uncomfortable for the quarterback. And so, how close is Nick Bolton to being back?
I don't know. I mean, they keep hinting that he's going to be back soon, but I haven't seen it yet. So. Drew Tranquil, man, that guy is good. So,
yes, he is.
Surely we got to try to sign him again for next year, right?
Oh, yeah. Depth is always good, especially in those positions. And the question will be, will he want more than he's worth, right? Or more, more
than he can afford.
Yeah, or willing to pay. I think would be the better, right? We got Nick Bolton coming up. We got Willie Gay coming up. We just got a lot of players, and we talked on the phone about how many players will be coming up for contracts here. So we'll see.
Yep, this year and next year is going to be huge for a lot of those contracts. Even L'Jarius Sneed's coming off his contract this year. So what are they going to do with him, or are they going to be able to re-sign him? I'd love to see him and McDuffie just say their careers here in Kansas City and work together. Right. I mean, that they play so well together.
Yeah. They're both very aggressive players. And so Sneed at this press conference this week, he was like, well, I know I'm going to get flags. He's like one of the most penalized guys in the league, but he's like, I'm just going to keep playing my game. And it works out.
Yeah. So speaking of the most penalized is Jawan Taylor, the right tackle.
Yeah, the problem.
Right.
As my nickname for him, the problem.
So
and I know what side you're on.
Oh, well, that's my question here. So give me why do you think he is the problem? So
speak. So you want to tell the people why he's not the problem, and then I'll counter your problem, or do you want me to tell?
I'll tell him the right way first. So, well, in my humble and accurate opinion, this is how it goes. So, So Jawan Taylor, from the beginning of the year, they pointed him out, right? The refs did. Even the NFL said, "Hey, this guy is close to, if not getting a jump on every play."
Okay.
Now, however, you watch every single NFL game, every single one. You watch those tackles on both sides of the ball on every game and for every team. Those guys know the count, and they are all doing it the same way. So the problem is the NFL noticed these things, and they send out video showing these refs what to watch for, and they use Jawan Taylor as the example. And so
Okay.
because they use him as an example, like, okay, this guy for sure is doing it, so I'm always going to be watching him. And so they're calling it on him more than they're calling on everybody else. Now, I will say this on the backhand side of it. He has to know that they're going to call it on him.
There we go.
He has to know it and
there we go.
and adapt to it. However, that doesn't make it his problem necessarily if he's the only one being called for it and no one else is being called for it. And
Okay.
so, as always, I think refs should call it fairly and equally across the board for both teams. If they're going to call it against us that way, they should call it against the other team that way too.
Yeah. And all teams, right? All teams.
Yes, all
not
teams.
just a team, not just a team we're playing. So, you watch the league and you watch guys. They get tackles get an advantage, right? They know the snap count. Especially if they're at home, they can kind of time it. And so it does look like a lot of times they're false starting, but they're like going as soon as the ball goes. And then the guys working together. But the problem, why I call him the problem is because a lot of times it's also his holding, right? And so it's not only false starts, but he also holds quite a bit as well. And that also adds into that most penalized offensive lineman or most penalized player. Yes. And the NFL is Jawan Taylor. So you just got to clean that up. You can't. And a holding – because a holding's 10 yards, right? Yep. And then a false start is 5. So I'd rather you false start than you hold because a hold puts you way back behind the sticks. So you have to get 2 first downs on one play. Now, not that I think Mahomes covers up a lot of that and has this year, but it's just like we can't be holding. You almost need like a signal or something to be like, hey, my guy's getting away. You better start moving, Mahomes. And Mahomes has been in his career, he's been terrific at moving and escaping and extending the plays. And so, I'd rather the false start than the hold. I guess that's my point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I take it. I don't disagree with the holds at all. I mean, you got to clean that up. You can't have holds and be moving backwards. That's going against everything you're trying to do, especially if your offense is struggling to move the ball or put up points. You don't want to be moving backwards. That just hurts them even more. So,
or a crucial drive, right? Crucial drive,
right.
Like the team just scored, and then you get the ball, and then now you get I think what frustrating was Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a big 10-yard run, but it was a hold on Taylor. So boom, we're instead of moving forward to a first down, we're moving back to first down and 20. So we'll see. Hopefully he'll figure it out. Hopefully Andy Reid's chewing him out.
Yeah, Andy Reid, as we know, is an offensive line coach to begin with, and so that was his strength and his specialty. And so I think he'll go in there and motivate those guys and get them doing what they need to do. But either way, we'll take the victory on a Victory Monday, especially against the Raiders. Don't want to harp on them too much when they get a victory, especially a huge victory of 31-17. So. We got the score prediction right for the Raiders in our predictions. We both had 17. We were a little bit off on the Chiefs. They scored more than we thought, which, hey,
that's great.
Even better.
Rather be wrong. I think the last couple of weeks we've shot a little too high. And so I was trying to
pull it back a little bit. And what do you know? It's one of the Chiefs' best offensive weeks so far. So
sounds like we need to be doing that every week.
I guess so. Hey, if that's what helps the Chiefs get a victory and get their offense rolling, then so be it. So
yeah. One of these days we're going to get the score prediction exactly right.
I know, one of these days. So
I mean, we got to. I mean, we predict the game 2 times a week. I mean, the odds have to be in our favor, right?
Well, you would think, but I don't know. I think that is just an extremely hard thing to actually pick. So I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure if you pick the exact score of a game with Vegas, you're going to get a huge payout. So
there you go.
The odds got to be pretty low to guess it correctly. So, but Victory Monday here in Chiefs Kingdom. So glad we were able to pull that out. And so, as always, make sure you are liking, subscribing, following, share this with your friends. That helped us more than anything. And even more than that, leave a review. Help other people find this good, clean podcast that's good for everybody. So, and as always, this episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tea at a time. You can find them online at ohheythreads.com. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.